that's not going to work. Figure this out. I see what the problem is. So if you fill it, then you have to get the cap on immediately, or all the air comes out. It doesn't have the valve on the inside like the dinghy does, you know? So down here, these look like fill ports, but they have a different kind of fitting, and I'm not sure if the vacuum cleaner can push against them. We'll try. But the problem is that this one is just an open hole. So it doesn't have any kind of valve in there like a dinghy might have. So as soon as you stop the vacuum cleaner, before you're able to get this on, you've deflated. And that would be very discouraging. If you're in an abandoned ship scenario, you can't get the damn thing inflated. I'm going to try that again here. And now we're here to look at the Life-raft, okay? So the Life-raft itself holds air. It does work. We inflated it using the vacuum cleaner in reverse mode, and it holds air. So I guess fundamentally it does work. I'm stepping inside now. These are the two valves I used to fill it with air, but it's not like a dinghy that has a rubber valve on the back of it. This opening is just an opening. So as soon as you're done pumping air in, all the air immediately escapes unless you put your hand over it and then slide this cover on. So how you would ever get it fully inflated, I don't know yet. I would probably try to replace these with a dinghy style valve. So I guess that's what I would try to do. So I'll first start with the mysteries. I don't understand these fittings. There's like a brass bronze fitting with a valve seat at the very bottom. You can see it's got a valve seat down there, and no air is leaking out, but you cannot put any air in, probably unless you have the correct fitting to insert, probably similar to what is connected over here. So this is a CO2 bottle that is supposed to be used to inflate this thing, but it was never intended to be an automatic inflation. So I don't see an actuation handle unless it's fallen off or something. So I don't quite know how this works yet. So the question would be, what size cylinder would I need to replace this with? And I'm assuming it's CO2, not nitrogen. I'm assuming so. I really don't know. The fabric tents, the covering, the canopy, seems to work just fine. No holes, no tears, but it's dirty, and there's no way to hold it up. So I'm not quite sure how that was designed. I don't see any, like, those semi-rigid tent pole things that you would use. So I got to figure that out. That's to figure out. So one thing to do is clean. Second, figure out the tent poles. Third, figure out the CO2 situation, or just abandon this altogether, throw it away, and just buy a manual pump, which might be the right way to do it. Not as fast, of course, but if you had even 10 minutes and you're highly motivated, you could probably pump this baby up pretty quickly. It didn't take but 30 seconds to do it with the vacuum cleaner. So it has a kit with it. This is a sea anchor. I'm sure I have not deployed that yet. I don't know what all is in here, but it all seems to be tied to the same place. Sea anchor is tied in a couple of places, it appears. I guess I should go ahead and unfold that and see what that does. But you've got the little plastic bungs, which are very, very handy. Got a flashlight, of course, but the batteries were long gone. So we need to get a couple of size C cells. That's a spare bulb. Whistle, mirror. I'm not quite sure what that is yet, but the flashlight just goes in the PVC tube, and there's a knife, a safety knife. There's a sharp saw blade in there to cut stuff, like if you had killed a fish. But the blade won't puncture the tube, and of course a set of oars. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with it, actually. So what I'm going to do real quickly is deploy the sea anchor and then figure out where these are supposed to be tied up. Some things we're learning is that this does not appear to be a drogue at all. I don't know what the hell it is. It's got this diagram telling you that you're supposed to cut one end, but the previous owner cut the wrong end. They cut this end. So this is just like an open bag. but it looks like it was a container intended to be filled almost with water. It's got that kind of spout. So I don't know if it was intended to be something you filled with water for drinking water, and you could leave it outside the raft. We think this orange bag is actually the drogue, but we're going to take a look at that next. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you. Yeah, so you got these bags hanging on the bottom, and you see they're open at the top, and they've got weep holes at the bottom. So these are probably serve a sea anchor function, and that's probably where the CO2 bottle is supposed to go on the bottom. I'm sure of that. That'll stick because that will not be inside. Yeah, so the 4 bags probably stay full of water. That's probably their design purpose. And the next question is, what the hell is that, and what the hell is this? Okay, so here we are. We've got the Life-raft, filled up manually again using the shop vac again, and we're just holding up this canopy, which is designed, to keep water out of you, and when it's raining, of course, and sprays from breaking waves. But we don't have any means by which we can mount that thing internally. It doesn't look like it's straightforward. It looks like it has to be almost a square type shape. I'm not quite sure how it's designed to be shaped, nor how it's supposed to be supported. So we're figuring that out. So I'm thinking replace these 2 valves. So I'm going to go buy those online. I can't quite see, that says 2SM, but that doesn't mean anything to me. And they appear to be in otherwise good condition, but if I remove this outer cap, all the air escapes. There's no doubt about it. And we can't have that, and right now I don't want that because I want this to stay inflated so it can dry out. And there's a lot of sticky, gooey, nasty residue, and I don't like that shit, but we cleaned off as much as we could. So the first action of the evacuating crew, once you get in the lifeboat, is to get a cleaning crew, a housekeeping crew in here to clean up first, because it's hard to clean these things. So anyway, I wanted to show you. So I've got to figure out the size of this, but I really wanted to show you the fittings on the end. So this is basically it's like a fuel system fitting. See, you get the hoses with these kind of fittings, and they go on just like a fuel fitting would. They mount just like that, and they get bolted in with the bolt with the hole down the center. And I know there's a word for those, but that's what they are to me. What I don't understand, so that tells me how they're connected, but I don't understand how it would have been actuated, because I've got this funky fitting on the end, and it has this rubber boot on it, which doesn't seem to do anything. It's got a hole down the center as well. So I just don't know quite what I'm looking at as far as if I wanted to reproduce this with a functional CO2 bottle that could be used to quickly inflate the raft. That would be fine if I could easily purchase one. But I'm not really sure quite where I would even go. If I went to like Tampa or Miami, I'm sure I could find a compressed gas person who is an expert of that. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I mean, right now, what I'm thinking is, why do I need to have it filled with CO2 at all? Why can't I treat it, this life raft, like a dinghy that needs to be rapidly deployed? The dinghies are inflatable. They're made of a material called hypalon, which is arguably tougher or maybe not as tough as a life raft. I don't know. But they get filled with air, and they float all the time just fine. So why couldn't I just forget about this CO2 bottle here, just forget it altogether, and go ahead and just figure out a way to inflate this thing quickly with air? That would be a lot simpler, and that way I don't have to carry big cylinders. I could just get a couple of regular scuba cylinders, I would think. A couple scuba tanks, and easily pressurize this thing, and that would be equipment that I'm familiar with. I just have to find a way to make this type of connection, because this is the type of connection I have on the raft itself. So I kind of have to stick with that hose setup. But I'm sure a really smart, high pressure gas company, could, and there are people who do that for a living, right? People who know better than I do. And the flip side is, why do I need any compressed gas, air, or at all? Why not just get some type of air pump that could rapidly be deployed? I'm thinking a battery-powered, shop vac type thing. And they do make those. If I could get a battery-powered shop vac and I can always keep it charged. You know, why couldn't I plan on deploying my Life-raft that way? Yeah, and I guess a lot of that depends upon just how much it's going to cost, you know, for me to buy a new setup with this, you know. And if it's a very low price, then hell, I'll just go ahead and replace this the way it is. But in the meantime, I am going to take the I'll call it the fill parts that I've been using, you know, to fill with the shop vac, and I'm going to replace those two with dinghy style valves that are openings that actually have a little check valve on them, so the air doesn't escape, you know, as quickly as you fill it, because that's what I have right now. So I've got a couple little things I want to do as Life-raft, but other than that, I think I'm very, very pleased with it. We've got it all cleaned up, and she's ready to go, actually ready to deploy, except take it out of the bag and throw it in the water and pump her up, you know. And the only thing that remains to be done is clean the sea anchor, which is laying on the deck there, because that rope was soaking wet, and we're going to wash that in soapy water tomorrow, and then hang it out to dry for a couple of days, and then stick it back in the bag, and then we'll be ready to go, and we'll call ourselves good. So I'm gonna sign off here and say goodnight, guys. I'm Russ. This is Sailing Vessel Tautog, and we're watching sunset on the 8th of February. It's been a beautiful day today. So, you know, it's cold in the morning, and that kind of had me in a bad mood, but it's beautiful right now, and it's going to be nice this weekend. So with that, I'm going to sign off and tell everybody cheers. And next up is going after that engine, and we'll do that tomorrow. So cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.